in Las Vegas, we had conducted an internal workshop inside of the event, and a couple came up to us afterwards and just wanted to thank the team that was presenting. The husband and the wife both got emotional and started to cry. And they just said, we have been working so hard to try to figure this out for so long. And today is the first day in years that we actually feel like we have hope.
Welcome to Digital Hospitality. I'm your host, Shawn Walchef. This is a Cali BBQ media production. We believe that every business needs to be digital first. We also believe that every business is in the hospitality business, whether you know it or not. We've been doing this show since 2017, and we've built an incredible community. So thank you. If you're new to the show, welcome. Our job is to educate you on all things hospitality, all things storytelling, all things technology. And today we are going to share two very impressive gentlemen from US Foods. I have Chef Scott McCurdy and Lance Reynolds. Gentlemen, welcome to Digital Hospitality.
Than's for having us. Awesome
so
to be here.
Let's share, Scott. We just shared something before we started recording. How did you and I first meet?
So I can't remember how many years ago. It was 6-7 years ago. I found myself at a barbecue competition as a guest judge with you and your restaurant there in San Diego. And I remember we were talking about. I remember it was a big educational opportunity for me, like all the details of barbecue. There's a lot of folks with a lot more experience than I, and we had a ton of fun, and we were reminiscing about the merits of things like ribs and eggs and how delicious those things are together. Great time. It's great to see you again.
Do you remember what we were doing on the roof?
Yeah, we climbed up on the roof of your restaurant. You and I did that, and we're setting a GoPro up there, trying to get the view of the street. There was so many people moving around, and GoPro's got the real wide angle. So we created a time lapse from that. It was a really cool video of the whole day of all the activities.
We were putting media back in barbecue even back then. So, Scott, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for judging that Spring Valley Tailgate and Barbecue Festival. Lance, how did you and I meet?
We invited you onto one of our webinars in April of 2020. So the world had literally just fallen apart, and we were trying to figure out how to put it back together for Restaurateurs. And we invited you to come on to ideate. And it was a conversation more than a presentation, just what are you doing? What are we seeing? What are you seeing? How can we be helpful? What can we do to help restaurants get open again? And it was a really weird time. And then we invited you back on, I think, a couple months later. And it was amazing how much we learned in 2 months and how different our message was. But, that's what it was all about at that time, is everybody was panicking, and we just needed to talk to one another and figure out how we could put it back together and get people's doors open again. And it's hard to believe that actually happened, but here we are, right? Surviving.
Well, for those that don't know, my US Food story with Cali Barbecue, in 2012, we opened our restaurants in 2008. And I remember our first subscription that we signed up for was restaurantowner.com. And I was reading articles about profitable restaurants and successful restaurants and what were they doing. And one of the articles, shout out to Jim Lobb and Barry Schuster, who put out restaurantowner.com. But one of the articles talked about having a primary food vendor. I just didn't understand what a primary food vendor was, because we were so young and we were just trying to buy the best food that we could with the best prices that we could, until I started thinking about how much time was I spending and my chef spending and my general manager spending managing this food relationship. And I remember thinking well, maybe we should have a primary food vendor. And that's when I reached out to US Foods. Brad Newberg at the time, he was our local sales rep, our local sales hero that brought us into the US Foods family. And everything started to change for us as a restaurant. Things started to get easier. We started to ask for help. US Foods had so many different tools in their repertoire that allowed us to grow, to answer questions that maybe we were struggling with. Lance, I would love for you to give us a little bit of your background with US Foods, pre-US Foods, and what you've been doing since.
Yeah, so I've been an owner operator of restaurants for 30 years. I'm still an investor in 4 restaurants here in Flagstaff, Arizona, where I live.
Amazing.
But I had a decade where I learned everything I needed to learn, most of it the hard way, right? Like this industry is just, it's not intuitive, and so I bumped my knee a lot and stubbed my toe and failed quite a bit until we started figuring out, that like systems and integrating systems and making sure that you're really focusing on the money and the bottom line had to be priority. And then we started to figure it out and we experienced some success. And I sold that company, started a school called Food Biz Today to teach restaurants how to make money. We had 7 schools in 3 states. And I had a very close relationship with US Foods at that time. So when I sold in 2013, they were just starting the ROC program. ROC is Restaurant Operations Consultant. And so I thought I'd come to work for US Foods. I thought for sure they'd throw me out in a year. I wasn't sure if I'd be a good employee, or be a good fit. But, that was 12, 13 years ago, and they haven't thrown me out yet. And it's been a really cool, one of the most important and best professional decisions I've ever made is coming to work for US Foods and helping to build this ROC program to help operators. I mean, that's the backbone of the ROC program, is to go in and help operators. As long as you're buying your groceries from us, my team and Scott's team comes in to help you find ways to drive profitability and be innovative, and whether that's food or technology. So in a nutshell, that's where we are now. And it's been a cool lens to view the restaurant industry from 2013 and through COVID and today, and all the changes the restaurant industry has gone through.
How many ROC consultants are there in US Foods?
42 across the country right now.
Wow, very cool. And anybody that's a US Foods customer can reach out to their local ROC representative?
Absolutely, and we look forward to helping them.
Amazing. Scott, give us a little bit of your background pre-US Foods and what you've been doing since.
Yeah, sure. So I've actually been, I'm at my 20th year mark with US Foods. The beard is gray. So 20 years with US Foods as a little bit in sales for sure. I came with a long chef background. I'll kind of go both directions. So 20 years ago, started with US Foods as a seller, and then kind of put together those two skills of sales and consulting, going back to my culinary skill and kind of marrying those two together. I really saw a path in my career to bring two passions together. One was, as Lance talks about, helping operators optimize their business and consulting on things like product selection and back of the house logistics and things like that. And then the love of just culinary. So prior to US Foods, I ran hotel kitchens primarily. I was a resort guy, so moved around in different resort communities and sort of learned the business that way. Worked for a while in France. Worked for a while in Santa Barbara, California, Bend, Oregon. A couple other locations in California, resort ski towns. But I was always kind of a boutique hotel chef, so really wanted to run those operations that had multiple outlets, but didn't want to necessarily be at a Las Vegas 5,000 room hotel with a 600 person crew. That wasn't me. I was the boutique white tablecloth hotel kind of a guy. But anyway, yeah, brought that to US Foods. And then one of the things that I learned on this side of the business with helping all kinds of operators, we sell food and support the businesses of all types of customers, from the small diner that really just wants to run a family business and keep that intact, to a large multi-unit chain that has very different needs. So I guess that's why I've been here 20 years, because it's a really fun role to be in, and we get a lot of gratitude out of helping our customers and working with them on product.
Amazing. So one of the things I definitely want to talk about is this huge event, this Food Fanatics event happening at the Mandalay Bay, August 19th and 20th. I will be there. Mike Ungaro and the Kings of Fish family will be there. I remember talking to the marketing team, to Diane Hun, the chief marketing officer. She was on our show in Chicago, joining us at the National Restaurant Show. She joined our Restaurant Influencers show, but she was sharing kind of this big idea of what does a food show reimagined look like? Can you guys bring us into what Food Fanatics was and what Food Fanatics will be at this upcoming show?
I'll let you kick it off, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you want me to start, Lance? So, Food Fanatics Live, going back a number of years, we had an event called Food Fanatics Live, and, we really set out, I'm probably not going to get the dates right, so I probably won't try to quote exact years, but we set out when we started Food Fanatics Live to really reinvent the idea of what a food show could be, right? A food show, I think in a lot of people's eyes or minds is a place to go and try a lot of fried food and wire chafers and maybe do some forward buying and connect with vendors and work on it's kind of a typical, in a sense, I don't want to diminish it, but it's sort of a typical trade show, if you will. But, what we really wanted to pull into the experience with Food Fanatics Live and now with Food Fanatics 2025 in Las Vegas, building on what we built prior in Food Fanatics Live is really really articulating the value proposition. We have a very we're very good at we feel like we're very good at connecting with our customers and helping them with more than just what's the price on a case of chicken. We do, as you mentioned, Shawn, we do have a suite of other value added services that we do, and that can be anything from menu consulting to product selection to working with back of the house logistics to working with staffing, and then into staffing kind of brings me into the front of the house too. And in Lance's world, in the rock world, and I won't steal his thunder, but the Food Fanatics event is really about articulating what it is that US Foods is about, and we are really a company of food people and hospitality people, and we really want to share that love with our customers and inspire them in their businesses.
So, Scott, if there's a restaurant owner that's listening to this podcast that is inspired, but they're also struggling, I think one of the reasons why I do this show was I knew that I wasn't alone as a restaurant owner, and it took me a long time to realize that, if I asked for help, maybe there was help out there. Maybe there were other restaurant owners that had the same problems that I did. Or maybe there were people like you gentlemen that talk to a lot of successful restaurants, struggling restaurants, and restaurants that are just barely getting by. So if there's somebody that's, maybe struggling with labor, struggling with profitability, and they're like, I don't know if I should get out of my restaurant and go to Vegas. Why, in your words, why do you think that they should attend?
Oh, I think that those are the people that we really want to see invest in their own business and their own future and come and learn what we're all about and what the opportunities are, besides just that, what's the price of broccoli today kind of discussion. Yep. A lot of people view distributors as people that just move boxes around. We do that too. We're a food service distributor, but there is so much more that folks can take advantage of that will really help them grow their business and hopefully it's an aspirational statement, but realize their dreams. Anybody who has a restaurant, really it's a passion business, right? You're in this business because you love hospitality. Yep. And we're there right there with you. So,
Lance, what kind of workshops, educational sessions is US Foods going to be putting forward at this Food Fanatics show?
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the highlights of this show, right? And to Scott's point, you go to a traditional food show and it's line after line of 10 by 10 booths with sampling food and, scanning a QR code to get information about some of the products you might want to bring into your restaurant. This is way beyond that, right? Like, we understand from an operator's perspective, it's never been harder.
Yeah.
Here we are in 2025. It's never been harder. Labor is up, here in Flagstaff where I'm an investor in restaurants. Minimum wage is $18.35. Yep. That's mind-boggling to try to navigate that. Costs are up, insurance is up, real estate is up, insurance, everything is so much more expensive than it was before. So we have to get really, really good at becoming really good foundational businessmen and women, right? And learning and getting outside of our four walls. It's very important to get outside of our four walls, figuratively, and to come to Las Vegas to an event like this, you have such a huge opportunity to learn about everything from staffing, marketing, technology, AI. What does food service look like in the
Yeah.
future? What are some of the issues that operators are dealing with today that they really need answers to? And I know from my experience as a restaurant owner and also working with restaurants and working with the rocks here at US Foods, operators are grinding and they've got their head down, and it's so much work. It's so hard, right? This industry is such hard work that sometimes it's easy to get blinders on. And when you can stand up and look around, you can learn so much. But
Mhm.
sometimes it's important to get out of your restaurant to go
Yeah.
do that, and some of the best ideas that anyone can have is when they can actually go someplace and decompress for a couple of days and let their guard down, and enjoy themselves as well, right? Like I think that's part of this also is you learn more, you're open to new ideas more when you can just decompress and relax a little bit. And so this event it's about food for sure. It's about technology. It's about solutions, but it's also about like mingling with other like-minded restaurateurs, like you said, that are out there trying to figure it out. What does it look like in 2025 and 2026? And then also let your hair down a little bit and have some fun, like
100%.
mingle, have a cocktail with a fellow restaurateur and share war stories and see what the path may look like moving forward.
Can you share a little bit more about community? I think, for me personally, I know, the National Restaurant Show is a great example for me. I spent 14 years running my restaurant, knowing about this big show and never leaving my restaurant to get to Chicago. Now that I've been there, and when I go and I participate in Food Fanatics, I've been to multiple Food Fanatics here in Southern California. When I get to talk to another restaurant owner, magic happens. The
Mhm.
more vulnerable that I am willing to be about my operation, about the profitability, about my leadership team, about how we do inventory, about how we do our website, about how we do our marketing, the more that I share, the more they're willing to share, and the more that we both actually take away.
Yeah, you mentioned something earlier, like when you finally that light bulb goes off and you're finally willing to be vulnerable and raise your hand and say, "Hey, I need some help," right?
Yeah.
People just don't do that. But when you can be in a casual environment around again like-minded individuals that are going through the same thing and you can be vulnerable enough to say, "Hey, what are you doing about?" You're going to start building relationships with other people that are sharing similar struggles and maybe have just figured something out, right?
Yeah.
They got advice from someone or they onboarded some technology that's just changing the game for them in their operation. And that back and forth between, restaurateurs that are in the same boat, nobody's got it easy. And sometimes we can sit in our own lane and think like everybody else has got it figured out. All of my competitors know what they're doing. They're all succeeding. They're all wealthy. He just bought a new truck. I can't buy a new truck. You start comparing yourself to the people around you, but everybody is experiencing the same hardships and difficulties and struggles. However, everybody also has the same opportunities to fix it, right? And
Yeah.
so when you can share with one another and then come to these educational sessions and some of these breakout sessions we're going to be conducting, and then some of the stage presentations that Scott and his team are going to be leading, you can learn a lot. And you can probably also help educate some of the other fellow restaurateurs that are there. Share some of your experiences with them.
So Scott, tell us what can we expect from the stage demos at Food Fanatics 2025 in Las Vegas?
Oh man, so much. We got a lot. We got an action-packed day on the stage in Food Fanatics. We are still finalizing some of the content, so I won't try to go too deep. But we've got vendor partners that are going to be presenting their products and in coordination, if you will, with our Food Fanatic chefs. We've got a competition going on that will actually appear in sort of two segments throughout the day, and it'll be action packed, and those are always really really fun. It's sort of similar to like think about a chopped format. we have a couple of celebrity chefs actually who will have some spots on the stage, and we're really excited about that. We've got Stephanie Izard and Jet Tila coming to do some demos with us, and we're super pumped for all of that. So the stage all day is going to be rolling with 20 or 30-minute segments, and it's going to keep moving all day, and we'll be pointing folks throughout the day to not only what we're doing on the stage, but where they can find some of the products that were discussed and demoed and talked about throughout the show floor. So really, really action-packed stage. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love for one of you or both of you to share a memorable moment from a Food Fanatics event. I think, to the point of the reason why we do this show is to inspire the hardworking restaurateur, the restaurant leader to get out of their restaurant, to do things differently, to ask for help, to stay curious, to get involved. Can you share a memorable moment from one of the previous Food Fanatics events?
I'll let you go first, Lance? You want?
Please, sure.
We're so polite. We don't want to interrupt each other.
Interrupt. Go ahead.
So one just popped into my mind that I can't, again, the years scramble up in me, but, I was at an event in the West, and it was a customer that came up to me after a stage presentation, and he wasn't wanting to talk to me specifically about the stage presentation I did, but he instead wanted to talk about the experience itself. And he got actually surprisingly emotional about, how hard his business is to run and how grateful he was that he was there getting recharged to go back and do that work. It was I was kind of getting emotional with him, like, man, give me a hug kind of thing. Like this is amazing, because that is exactly what we set out to do. And you try to articulate that, and you hope that you connect with your audience in that way. And this one guy, I can still picture his face, was just overtaken with so much inspiration from the event that he just had to grab somebody and say thank you. So that's a big one for me.
How about you, Lance?
Yeah, mine's very similar actually to Scott's. Scott and I would travel around to all of these events, and we'd be working with our teams. And so, I have two perspectives. One was I was always so amazed at how passionate and empathetic the Rocks and the chefs were with the people that were there, right? Like, if you're a Food Fanatic chef or a restaurant operations consultant here at US Foods, you've done a lot of things right in your career. It's very, very difficult to get into these roles, right? And so to be at those shows and watch how they didn't take on this type A know-it-all approach, right? It was like very helpful and very empathetic and understanding, the people that are in front of them are here because they need help. And they might not be willing to raise their hand and say, I need help, right? But they'll get there. But very similar story to Scott's in Las Vegas. We had conducted an internal workshop inside of the event, and a couple came up to us afterwards and just wanted to thank the team that was presenting for what they had learned and how excited they were. And the husband and the wife both got emotional and started to cry. And they just said, we have been working so hard to try to figure this out for so long. And today is the first day in years that we actually feel like we have hope, because we have information for sure, but just in understanding that there's a pathway forward, and understanding that we're surrounded by a team of people here at US Foods that are willing to come in and do what they've got to do to help us be profitable and turn this thing around. And so, I'm sure Scott and I both have hundreds of stories like that where people got very emotional because it's the first time in their career that someone came into their restaurant and wasn't asking for anything, right? Yeah. They're coming to the restaurant and say, what can I do to help you? What do you need help with? What are your challenges? Let's dig in and help you. And you're going to get a lot of that. The Rocks and the chefs are going to be in full force in Las Vegas, and they're specifically to do exactly that.
Yeah, and one of the things I definitely wanted to point out is not only does US Foods have this Rock program, but I think the entire ethos of the Rock permeates throughout the sales force. So I mentioned Brad Newberg, but Joshua Downing, Gabrielle Elizabeth, who's our rep here locally, they will do anything and everything for us, meaning that like it's never that's not my job, that's not my scope. If there's a technology question that they can lean on, they're more than willing to do that. And it's just it's a testament to the humans at US Foods. It's why we love this business. It's why we love partnerships like this. What from a technology standpoint, I remember when we first opened up our restaurant, the old way of ordering was you'd have a sales rep come and meet with the kitchen manager, and the kitchen manager would tell you the order, and the sales rep would have their own proprietary software and sit down, and like they would sit there for, an hour and a half, 2 hours putting in this order guide. And now we have an app. As somebody that the show is called Digital Hospitality, it's like, how do we create efficiencies with technology to make all of our lives easier? It's not to eliminate the salesperson's job, but it's like, if my Lisa, who does our ordering at our restaurant, if she can go with the app into the kitchen and do the inventory and then order directly from the US Foods website, that's much more efficient process on everybody else, so that we can dedicate resources to how can we help you with other things. What can people expect from a technology standpoint at Food Fanatics?
Yeah, so a ton, right? Like that's really, I think there are a lot of things that set US Foods apart, but our ability to onboard third-party technology solutions for our customers and our check business tools portfolio of solutions. It's very, very difficult to become a check partner. You're going to go through 2 years of vetting and then a full year in a pilot, and you still might not make it in, right? It's very, very difficult. And so if they're in this program, that they do what they say they're going to do, and they're going to benefit the restaurant. In addition to that, we have always led the industry with regards to our own personal in-house technology. Moxie is our platform right now for ordering, for sure. But also for product searches, for product comparisons. You can actually do an online cutting right there in the palm of your hand. Inventory, food cost calculation, general ledger coding. Like, this app is so incredibly powerful, and it is such a major support mechanism for the operator, right? Sometimes it gets confused that US Foods needs this to run an efficient business, but this really truly was built from an operator's lens to help them be more efficient. And it's the world we live in. Nobody wants to call in their order for takeout anymore, right? They want to punch it in, make sure it's accurate, pay for it, and let it go. And right. So it's the same type of thinking. And, this is really, truly Amazon for the food service industry. And it's amazing what that team has done.
Well, we can't tell you guys how excited we are to be in Las Vegas. Like I said, I will be there. I'll be speaking about social media. So if you guys are watching this, please attend my session. I've got some tricks up my sleeve. I'm going to make you a little bit uncomfortable. If you're familiar with my content, our goal is to make storytellers out of everyone. All the rocks, I want them telling stories. I want them posting on social. All of the food fanatics, all the US Foods representatives. The more people, a rising tide lifts all ships. We truly believe that. We don't believe we're competing with anybody else. The restaurant business is a hard business, but it's a beautiful business. And it's the humans that help us celebrate those times. And the fact that US Foods is making such a big commitment to get everybody together in one place in Las Vegas at the end of summer at the Mandalay Bay, we couldn't be more excited for it. Where can people sign up? How do they learn more about it? Where should we go? Where should we send them? Gentlemen?
Go ahead, Lance.
usfoods.com.
Perfect.
usfoods.com. You can not only learn a lot about the event, again, Food Fanatics 2025 in Las Vegas, and there's so much more you can learn there too. You can find your local Food Fanatic chef or your local rock if you need help there as well, right? So anything and everything you want to know about the restaurant industry, so many resources you can find right there at usfoods.com. And I would highly encourage everybody watching this to take advantage of this opportunity to come to Las Vegas, share stories with one another, learn together, and at the end of the day, taste a ton of really, really great food.
And if you guys are watching this, we'll put links into the show notes so you can register for the event. Hopefully you can come and see. We'll also be interviewing Mike Ungaro and his family from Kings of Fish. So that Kings of Fish is on Amazon Prime. Please go to Amazon Prime, watch the show. It's phenomenal. Fourth generation legacy business in Long Beach, probably the best seafood restaurant in the entire world. They're growing at a rapid pace, but he's sharing the struggles and the successes, which is something that's really cool. So we're going to talk about media and storytelling at the event. Lance, Scott, I am grateful for your time. I can't wait to see you both in Las Vegas. If you guys have any questions for me, you can reach out to me at Shawn P. Walchef, ShawnPWalchef on Instagram. It's probably the fastest, but all the platforms, we want to hear your story and we want to see you in Las Vegas. So send me a message before the show and we can find some time to create some videos together. Any parting words, Lance or Scott?
Hey, we appreciate you very much, Shawn. Everything you're doing for the industry, man, it matters. And again, it's back to that community, helping one another out. That's our brand promise here at US Foods. We help you make it for US Foods. It's a wonderful, tagline, but for a struggling restaurateur, it's a lifeline. And everything that you're doing, we're very, very grateful. And I'm also looking forward to seeing you in Las Vegas.
Can't wait. Scott, parting words?
So kind of a theme of what I heard both Lance and Shawn you're talking about with storytelling and the love of the industry. This event coming up is really about, in my mind, about recharging. So come to Vegas, come and recharge with us. We'll see you there. Thanks so much for the time today.
Sounds amazing. As always, stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We will see you guys all in Las Vegas for the Food Fanatics event. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've made it this long, you are part of the community. You're part of the tribe. We can't do this alone. We started, no one was listening. Now we have a community of digital hospitality leaders all over the globe. Please check out our new series called Restaurant Technology Substack. It's a Substack newsletter. It's free. It's some of our deep work on the best technology for restaurants. Also go to YouTube and subscribe to Cali Barbecue Media. Cali BBQ Media on YouTube. We've been putting out a lot of new original content. Hopefully you guys like that content. If you want to work with us, go to betheshow.media. We show up all over the United States, some international countries. We would love to work with you and your growing brand on digital storytelling. You can reach out to me anytime at Shawn P. Walchef on Instagram. I'm weirdly available. Stay curious, get involved, and don't be afraid to ask for help. We'll catch you next episode.